talking jerkbaits today. Probably the first sort of specialized technique that I learned as a kid. In the late 90s, I was like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. The first suspending jerkbaits came out. The first one I ever had was actually a Rogue, and ice out back home on Lake of the Woods. I was actually fishing with Gord Pizer, really good outdoor writer, fishing media guy in Canada, and we probably caught over 100 bass, and immediately they just became my number one kind of bait of all time, and number one way to catch bass. Had a really good day. Water was cold, and that was sort of my introduction to it. And then, you know, over the years up north, I mean, we throw jerkbaits all summer for smallmouths. Great way to catch fish, find fish. And you know, over the last 10 years or so, I've been traveling and fishing in the U.S. Made some money with jerkbaits over the years. I mean, in a lot of the cold weather tournaments, you know, if I was in trouble, generally, you know, spotted bass lakes, you could pick up a jerkbait and catch limits, catch fish. And then the last few years, what you're seeing, you know, fishing down in Florida, fishing grass lakes, gunners, even on the Tennessee River. We had an elite event at Gunnersville a few years ago in June, and a few of the guys in the top 10 were catching them on jerkbaits there. You're just seeing it you know, really evolve into where it's not just a cold water technique, where people are using it all year round. Fishing around grass, I'm using 12-pound fluorocarbon, Seaguar Brazex. You want to beef up your hooks a little bit too. You don't want to use the super fine wire. I mean, you hook those bigger fish, you got to muscle them a little bit more than you would in, you know, just true open water. Smallmouth fishing a lot, we want to get them to go as deep as possible. And when you're fishing on this grass, you know, to get them to go really deep, you want to always jerk them straight down like this. But to keep the bait up a little higher, I mean, I'm doing more just side to side, sweeping, and that kind of keeps it up on top of the grass. And it's good to tick it every once in a while. I mean, just like with a trap or a chatterbait, sometimes that creates a reaction and you get some bites after you come off a piece of grass too. There's lots of beautiful hydrilla here where we're at, just a big field of it. And this thing just allows me to cover water pretty good. It's too thick to throw a trap. You could burn a chatterbait over it, but the water's pretty cold right now, so I think the jerkbait's pretty much the best option to cover water. There we go. Ooh. If it's a bass, it's the right one, guys. It's crazy when you think about grass fishing. You don't necessarily think jerkbait, but it's kind of good because that was probably a little big to boat flip, but that's cool. But when you think about, you know, this grass, we're in 6 or 8 feet of water. The grass is growing 3, 4, 5 feet above the bottom. So this bait does a great job of just staying on top of the grass. And, you know, they're eating shad, they're eating minnows. So that's the perfect imitator. And that's the result. Gearing up for jerkbait fishing, just like any specialized technique, you want to have the right equipment. So rod-wise, I like a 7-foot rod for the ability to make long casts. People fish a jerkbait, they like a shorter rod. And it's all about, you know, just being able to twitch it down like I talked about. But a 7-footer, I'm up pretty high in this boat, and I just want to be able to have that longer cast and a little bit more, you know, absorption to be able to fight the fish and not tear the hooks out. This particular rod is a beauty. It's an 842 G Loomis Conquest, so 7-foot medium action. I like a 7-to-1 reel. This is a Shimano Bantam. Again, you'll hear people say they like a little slower retrieve maybe for a jerkbait, but I want to be able to, you know, fire up a new cast, reel my bait in quick if I get some grass on it, and just keep it moving. And I just adjust, you know, you get a feel for how fast you're bringing the bait in, and get the right cadence for getting some bites. Line, 12-pound fluorocarbon. I'm using Seaguar Brazex, but you know, if I'm just straight smallmouth fishing, probably going to go with 10. But again, even if it's heavy grass and there's big fish, you might even want to use 14, and that'll keep the bait up a little bit higher above the grass too if you're running into it all the time. This jerk bait is a new one. This is one of the new Shimano World minnows, and it's got that flash boost technology in it. Very unique. So this bait's motionless and that thing never stops moving. So it's just a little different look. Cold water, when you fish these things slow, it's just gonna, look pretty lifelike and something's moving all the time while the bait's not actually moving. So that's my setup for fishing a jerkbait, and give it a try. Not only for cold water, you can use jerkbaits all year round in a lot more situations than they've traditionally been used for. I'm Jeff Gustafson. Hopefully you enjoyed jerkbait fishing in grass.